Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Can we say that together? Cry, waymaker, say, waymaker, miracle, worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Let's declare it together, waymaker.
Biblical text comes from Joshua, the first chapter, verses 1 through 9, the King James Version. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, to the land which I give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the land of the Hittites, and into the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide an inheritance the land, which I swear to the fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, and thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have success. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. I'd like to use for a thought, be of good courage. Be of good courage. Israel was about to cross the Jordan and take possession of the promised land. All things were ready. It was only natural that Moses would have desired to go with them after leading this ragtag bunch of unprepared travelers out of Egypt and through 40 years of wilderness experience. But that was not to be the case. Moses was now dead. His final instructions still rang in Joshua's ears. Be strong and of good courage. Moses said, fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, he is it that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. And then, in the presence of the entire congregation, Moses again said, be strong and of good courage, for thou must go with this people unto the land which the Lord hath sworn unto their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. Deuteronomy 31, verses 6 and 7. It was a tag. It was a tag. You're it. That's the kind of moment it was for Joshua. He was now this fledgling nation's new leader, just like that. And though Joshua no doubt would miss the counsel of his predecessor, his spirit within said, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Jehovah had well prepared the shepherd who would now lead Israel into the promised land, to this land flowing with milk and honey. And through battle after battle, God's words would ring in his ears. Be strong and of good courage. Moving can be terrifying and daunting. It's always hard to leave the familiar for the unfamiliar. The wilderness journey hadn't been easy, but it was their normal. A new normal was about to begin, one that brought with it frustrations, brought apprehension and trepidation. And Joshua's only hope of success was to compel his people to trust the Lord, who said, be strong and of a good courage. For unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Normal is everything we know. It's comfortable, like an old pair of shoes. A new normal is not a welcoming way. Why can't we stay where we are? Why do we have to change? Why do we have to move? Why do we have to wear a mask? Why do we have to stay 6 feet apart? For Joshua, the new normal would be a string of battles from Jericho to Palestine, until victory would allow him to divide the land among the 12 tribes. How do you face a new normal? There's only one way to do it. You must be strong and be of good courage and let the Lord fight your battles. That was the message Joshua had for his people. Joshua said unto them, fear not, nor be dismayed. Be strong and of good courage, for thus shall the Lord do to all your enemies against whom you fight. Joshua 10:25. Unfortunately, there are those who use circumstances to determine whether God is for us or against us. If things go south, as the expression goes, they think that God is against us. And if things go well, they think that God is for us. Let me remind you of something. God is always for us. No matter what happens, he's for us. Compared to God, all enemies are puny. Understandably, it was the same message that David had for Solomon. When the mantle of responsibility was passed to build the temple of the Lord, Solomon knew nothing of construction. His worship center had been in a tent. That was his normal. But Solomon's new normal, as the new leader of Israel, was to head up the construction of a very specific and detailed home for the Ark of the Covenant, a permanent house of worship for the people of Israel. And David said to Solomon his son, be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed. For the Lord the God, even my God, will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Lord. 1 Chronicles 28, verse 20. What does a new normal do? First, it challenges us to hear. With all the clamor and all of the commotion around him, Joshua heard the Lord. He was able to shut out the naysayers, the pessimists, the worrywarts, and the cynics, because his focus was on the voice of God. A new normal is always crowded with opinionated people. They either staunchly oppose to the change, or they are ready to run ahead of God and run right into danger. The wise servant turns his ear toward a loving God and listens to the Spirit of the Lord for wise counsel. God speaks to us through his word. all 66 books, all 1,189 chapters, and all 31,102 verses. If you want to hear God, just read. God speaks to us through creation. David said, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." Psalm 19:1. God speaks to us through circumstance. Jesus said, "Lo, I am with you always." Matthew 28:20. God speaks to us through prayer. "My voice shalt thou hear in the morning. O Lord, in the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee and look up." Psalm 5:3. God speaks to us through his Spirit. Jesus said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me." That self-same Spirit is upon every believer. Once we tune our ears to hear God's voice, then next, God challenges us to heed his voice. We have to carefully move forward and follow God's direction. God wants us to accept and embrace the new normal he has laid out before us. For Joshua, the Israelites, it meant follow God's commandment to the letter. God said, "Observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest." When God speaks, he expects his believers not to just hear, but he expects them to obey. When God instills his Spirit within us, his common sense, his wise counsel, his spiritual guidance, he expects our response to be a positive one. Only fools challenge God's wisdom. Proverbs 12:15 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto the counsel is wise." As Christians, we have a new direction. Once we followed our instincts. Not now. Now we follow the Lord. Once we stumbled in darkness, but now we follow the light. Once we were an instrument of Satan, but now we're an instrument of God. I like what Tony Evans said. He said, "The devil was disarmed and defeated at Calvary." Then he said, "Live like it." When we heed God's voice, he pours himself out on us. He gives us new ears to hear his word. He gives us new eyes to see his glory. He gives us new feet to walk in holiness. He gives us new tongues to praise his name. He gives us new minds to contemplate holy things. He gives us new lips to proclaim his salvation. He gives us new hand to labor in his vineyard. And he gives us a new heart to express his love to others. But once we hear God's voice and we heed to God's voice, then God challenges us to hope. Hope is the sum total of a Christian's genuine hearing and the heeding the word of God. If you truly hear and heed the Lord's direction, you can't help but hope in the Lord. No matter how things look, your hope is in God. No matter how things sound, your hope is in God. No matter how things feel, your hope is in God. For whosoever is born of God overcometh the world. 1 John 5 and 4. C.S. Lewis put it like this. He wrote, "Why do the righteous suffer? Why not? They're the only ones who can take it. For those who hope in God, the days of despair are over. The days of sorrow, suffering is over. The helplessness, all the many hours of helplessness are over. The nights of weeping are over. The torments of troubles are over. This new normal may be unfamiliar, but believers serve a familiar God. God knows us, and we know him. And he, as he brought Joshua and the Israelites out of the wilderness and into the promised land, so too will God bring us through this wilderness and into an abundant life that he has prepared for us. Be strong and be of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. Lean on his everlasting arms. Wait patiently at the foot of the cross. Stand firmly on your solid rock of faith. Bow reverently before the throne of God and wait for the answer to your prayers. Through this normal, I remind you today, God will strengthen us. Through this normal, God will sustain us. Through this new normal, God will revive us. through this new normal, God will keep us if we hear and heed and hope in him. For the Lord thy God is with thee. God bless you, and heaven smile upon you. Be of good courage.